The rich don't dress like you think they do. They aren't buying Gucci belts, Saint Laurent bags, or Versace robes. The middle classes, take a look at these 3 bags. 2 are from Walmart, and 1 is from Louis Vuitton. Can you tell which one is the luxury brand? Sure, it's easy when the LV logo is plastered all over it, but I lied. One of those other bags isn't from Walmart. It's actually a Birkin worth over $30,000. Mainstream luxury fashion brands have trained us to believe that branding is everything, when in reality, most high-end products are really only status symbols for those that can't afford it. Real luxury hides in plain sight. If you've seen the show Succession, you're probably aware of how one character's $625 cashmere hat helped popularize conversations regarding stealth wealth. While famous movie stars are often pictured in the regular designer brands that you've heard of, like Gucci and Balenciaga, many times they're paid to advertise it. The truly rich, those who aren't constantly in the spotlight, have an entirely different kind of wardrobe. One based around minimalism, quality, and fit. For example, those plain gray t-shirts that Mark Zuckerberg wears? They are $400, custom-made from Brunello Cucinelli. Yet, to most people, they look like they could be from Target. In fact, when the truly rich do wear traditional luxury brands such as Prada and Valentino, they have access to exclusive designs that hide their branding. When most people think of luxury items, they're often reminded of brands that have strong advertising and a recognizable logo or design, whether that be a Rolex watch, a Lamborghini sports car, or Gucci flip-flops. They're all easily identifiable as luxurious. While billions of advertising dollars have been spent to ingrain that message into your mind, often they aren't the pinnacle of quality by any means. They are simply highly regarded as a status symbol. Like many other animals on Earth, we place value on status symbols as they can project value upon ourselves. Male peacocks use their colorful feathers to attract a mate. Penguins collect pebbles to prove their worth. And U.S. humans purchase flashy luxury goods. It's all the same. Status symbols merely attempt to prove that their owner is valuable. The reason we don't see the ultra-rich, like Jeff Bezos, dripped out in Gucci is because we all know he's rich. He doesn't need to prove it. However, when you see your neighbor or coworker wearing a new designer outfit, you immediately begin to wonder how they are able to afford it. Turns out, a lot of the time, they can't. In places with great income inequality, those people with lower incomes live under significant social stress. Their lower position in the social hierarchy is more obvious and more consequential. In response, some people purchase the kinds of goods that create the impression that they have money to spare, even when they don't. Researchers examined Google search trends across the U.S. and found that people in states with relatively high income inequality were more likely to search for luxury brands than those in other states. You can actually map this correlation, and you can see searches for luxury brands like Ralph Lauren or items like fur vests have the same breakdown as the map of income inequality. Despite what we think, common luxury items are not only purchased by the rich. It's actually the lower and middle-class consumers that account for nearly half of the luxury goods market globally. People like to criticize those who overspend, yet they don't realize why people do it in the first place. For example, overpriced Air Jordan sneakers are popular among young African-American men, including those from poor neighborhoods. Despite the fact that purchasing them might cause more financial stress for many, it's considered a necessity. Critics of spending above your means on luxury items often fail to recognize the underlying effect that these luxury goods can have. For some, their status in society is insecure. Many people who are low income can't afford to appear low income. It's hard to attract a romantic partner if you look like a broke loser, and good luck getting a good job if you show up at an interview looking like someone who's never had a good job before. The most obvious proof that these luxury items act as a necessary status symbol for the middle class is the sheer number of counterfeits that exist. From New York's Canal Street to China's AliExpress, you'll find no shortage of logo-riddled items. Their quality is usually subpar at best, yet its demand continues to grow. The more extreme income inequality becomes, the more pressure people feel to create the impression that they are succeeding. When the COVID-19 pandemic shut down nearly everything, it caused many middle-class folks to lose their jobs and place significant financial strain on the entire world. You'd think luxury spending would crash during a time of global financial uncertainty, yet the exact opposite happened. Moët Hennessy Louis Vuitton, LVMH for short, a French conglomerate that owns many brands such as Tiffany and Dior, had an incredible growth period in the last few years. Its market cap at one point crossed over $500 billion, and Bernard Arnault, CEO of LVMH, became the richest person alive with a net worth over $200 billion. There's not a singular reason why this happened, but experts point to a few key findings that help tell the story. For one, studies continue to prove that income inequality causes both the rich to consume more luxury goods as they can afford to, but also that poor individuals similarly consume more as a means to present themselves as successful. Governments across the world also gave out stimulus checks during this period, and many people used it to buy luxury items. Perhaps it's because they didn't know what else to use it for, but studies show it's indicative of a cultural shift regarding how we view luxury. A study from Bain found that Gen Z consumers are starting to buy luxury items 3 to 5 years earlier than millennials, at 15 years old versus around 18 to 20. Gone are the days when luxury items were exclusively for the rich. Now it's merely a savings goal for younger generations to eventually purchase these items. Buy now, pay later platforms like Afterpay and luxury resale sites like The RealReal offer even more ways for those financially insecure to partake in this illusion. People have babies with no money all the time, and if you're so worried about it, why don't you stop buying designer clothes? I buy everything on eBay. It doesn't count when you're wearing Marc Jacobs from Minneapolis. As younger generations increase their consumption of luxury goods, these products lose their value as a means to signal wealth. Even in The Simpsons, what was supposed to be a cartoon about a lower middle-class family has now done a collaboration with Balenciaga. It's clear that mainstream luxury fashion brands have begun shifting away from targeting the rich and instead towards advertising to the middle class to rationalize their expensive price relative to quality. These luxury brands are careful to thread the needle between growth and scarcity. Many companies do limited production runs or even destroy their excess inventory to create scarcity. Luxury fashion items have some of the highest margins across all industries, and they keep it that way through projecting a false sense of exclusivity. The idea that luxury has been diluted by the middle class has resurfaced in many discussions regarding two so-called factions, old money and new money. Old money would be someone like a member of the Walton family who famously founded Walmart, while new money would be someone like your uncle, who apparently made millions buying Bitcoin. Being old money suggests a kind of generational familiarity with wealth that doesn't require someone to show it off, compared to new money, which suggests someone didn't grow up rich and has a need or desire to project their newfound wealth. This tension between old money and new money has existed forever, perhaps most famously explored in F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. Social media, especially since the show's succession, seems to have really obsessed over the idea that old money is classy and new money is trashy, especially when it comes to how they dress. In the show, when luxury items were worn, they weren't from brands you probably ever heard of. Besides looking well-fitted and of high quality, they weren't anything unique. They are ridiculously expensive, but only other rich people would know. The show clearly suggests that old money has quiet luxury and new money lacks subtlety, and everyone's laughing up their sleeves about your date. When we think of mainstream luxury brands, the first thing that comes to mind is often clothing that has its logo plastered all over it. But most fashion brands, such as Ralph Lauren or Gucci, typically also have a secondary sub-brand or style that lacks any obvious signs of branding, but is also higher quality and more expensive. It's kind of like how tech subscriptions have evolved. You can use the cheaper version with ads or pay for premium and get a higher quality, ad-free experience. Funny enough, an entire fashion subculture has now emerged that tries to emulate the old money aesthetic on a budget, which really just seems to be fashion designs like this. Companies like Zara and H&M have capitalized on this trend, and although, to some extent, this is just another way of projecting a false sense of status, at least it can be far less expensive and not nearly as obnoxious. It goes without saying that not everyone who purchases flashy luxury items is an insecure poser. Some just really like the brand, and that's perfectly fine. Advertising and social media have effectively allowed brands to communicate unique identities around their products, and there's enough variety for everyone to find something they like. There isn't anything inherently wrong with saving up to purchase a luxury item. Often, people do it as a gift to themselves to celebrate an achievement. The problem arises when these are used as a tool to project status, especially during times of economic hardship. While owning a home has become out of reach for many in the middle class, luxury consumption for the same demographic continues to go up. While some may say it's our own fault as our priorities have shifted, perhaps regular folks have merely given up on what used to be attainable, and these luxury brands have done a better job of capitalizing on our insecurities. So, the next time you find yourself wanting to splurge on a luxury brand, question the reason you have that desire in the first place. Is it because you actually really like it and think it provides a lot of value per dollar? Or is it something more? Who are you really buying it for yourself, or so that others can see you owning it?